All right, hey there, everybody. It's Rev Kev. Welcome back to my channel. Let me just fix my camera here. It moved on me here, Tad, while I'm setting everything else up. Okay. Please, that will stick. No, it's going to keep moving on me. Oh, man, technical difficulties already in the live stream. That's why we got tape and lots of it. Okay, there we go. That looks better. Again, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to my channel, I've gotten quite a few new subscribers, so welcome. This is something that I was doing semi-regularly for the last few months. I actually spent 4 months on sabbatical from my work, and so I'm actually back at work now. And I wanted to get back at doing these live streams again. And so, yeah, that's why I figured, hey, I get back at this. You go, hey, Chris, I saw Superman recently and did a review with Adam from DL Saga on his other channel. Didn't love it as much as you, but it was still fun. Yeah, no, it seemed that movie's gotten some mixed reviews from the Superman fans. And I loved it, but I've only seen it twice. Maybe after the 10th time I see it, maybe I won't love it as much. Who knows? That could definitely happen. But I haven't had a chance to check out that review yet, but I will definitely check that out. So one of the things I started doing here on my channel, again, during my sabbatical, was I wanted to just spend some time doing creativity. This has actually been a little bit a part of my personal wellness journey. Just to do art for the sake of doing art, not necessarily having to produce something or doing something for one of my miniature games or things like that, just to enjoy the process. And in that season of just trying to enjoy the process and writing and creating and just doing my stuff on my sabbatical, I actually wrote a kid's book. And I've got my official ISNDB number all set up. I've got a professional book designer working with me to put it all together. It's gone through editing already. And now I'm personally doing the illustrations for it. And so I'm finishing that off. And so that's what I figured I would just do on my live stream today, is just continue doing some of the paintings. So I'm doing a number. Well, the official number is 39. I have 39 or 29. 29. No, I've got 12 done. I need 17 more. So 39 10 by 10 paintings that I'm doing. I'm doing them kind of in a style of Van Gogh's Starry Night. So this is kind of like one of the main ones here. It's kind of the style that I wanted for this children's book. So I'm doing all this painting myself. And I've got 12 done. I've got 17 more to go. And honestly, I'm just really enjoying it. I'm trying not to rush, but I would love to have the paintings done by the end, by mid-August, before my vacation time, so that I can get this to my book designer who's putting it all together for me and get it ready. So that way it's coming out and launching on Amazon KDP before September. That's kind of the dream, but we'll see how that comes along. But this is kind of the style and the look that I'm going for each page. And so I figured let's just continue painting. This here I'm working on this one now. This is actually page 25 of the book. And really the journey of doing this, again, creativity for me has been just about intentionally pausing, intentionally stopping, just not working so much and just constantly feeling like I have to be, in this constant mode of productivity, and just enjoy. And so that's been a lot of fun to do that during sabbatical. And part of my learning during my sabbatical was to make sure that I don't stop doing this just because I've gone back to the office. because it's kind of easy to do, relaxing things that fill the soul when you don't have to go to work. But it's a little trickier to implement this stuff into our lives when we do have to go to work. And that's where I find the victory lies, is when we can do this as a part of our regular day-to-day routine. So, like I said, been working on this kid's book. It's been lots of fun. Funny, when I got my sabbatical approved, I was talking with a number of different people during my sabbatical who told me that they would be praying for me for the 4 months when I was off. And they told me, well, I really hope you write a book. And I had no plans to write a book, absolutely no desire to write a book. I was talking to one of my neighbors. I don't think she knows I'm a pastor, but I was talking with her about being on sabbatical because she saw me walking my dog during the day. And so she asked me about it, and I said I'm on sabbatical, and she just probably assumed it was like an academic sabbatical. And so she asked me if I'm writing a book, and I'm like, I don't think so, but you never know. People are thinking I should. And then it was literally the last month of the sabbatical, kind of beginning of June, that I was away on a retreat, and I was doing some painting and some creative writing and some relaxing and some praying. And this book just all came together. And so I was talking with some leaders at the retreat, and they were the ones who said, you know what, I really think you've got this book in you that you need to get out into the world. So that is what started the journey. Started with kind of painting. So again, while I was away at the retreat, I painted this painting, which just kind of, again, it was just more just kind of my own little faith journey kind of painting type thing. And I just really enjoyed painting it. And so that style of this then just kind of continued to kind of speak to me. And then I was doodling a little bit more, pictures like this. And then I figured, hey, let's do the book in that style. And then I was just kind of doing some research and doing some reading online, and just saw a whole bunch of stuff with Van Gogh and his Starry Night paintings. And so I figured, you know what, that's the look. That's what I want to go for. That's the look I want to put together for this. And so it's been kind of fun just studying some old Van Gogh paintings and everything. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. Hey, Chris, that's beautiful with the cross like that. Hey, thanks a bunch. Again, that was, that's what I started with. I started with this one, and then I actually kind of redid this painting for the book. And I don't want to spoil all the paintings I have for the book, because I, don't want to give it all away. I want people to see the book. But then I redid that painting a little bit more Van Gogh style, kind of like that. So I was really super happy with how this one turned out. I really love the sky and the sun and the light, and just how that one came together. And honestly, this is a new thing for me. I've never really painted like this before. I paint miniatures. That's all I've ever really painted in the past. It was really the retreat that I went on that encouraged me to try painting like this. And so that's what got me moving in this direction, to be doing this a little bit more. So it's been fun. I've been enjoying it. And I've been doing it a little bit on the cheap. Like, the beauty of, I don't know, just kind of not taking myself too seriously, is I just went to the dollar store, right? And I got all my paints from the dollar store. So I paid in Canada, the dollar store is not the dollar store anymore. It's actually the $2 store. So most of these paints are like $1.50, $1.75 Canadian, something like that. So I just bought a huge whack of paint, which are significantly cheaper than using like my Warhammer paint. And so I figured, let's do that for these, and then just kind of have fun with it. And that is what I've been doing. I'm not happy with that brush. Let me get a different brush. So yeah, so it's been fun geeking out in the movie theater the last couple of weeks. You know, we've had Superman come out 2 weeks ago. We had the Fantastic Four drop yesterday. Yesterday, my son and I, we did the hashtag Super Fantastic. So we went to a 6 p.m. showing of Fantastic Four, and then we were at an 8 p.m. showing of Superman. And it actually, with the trailers and everything, it actually worked out perfectly. We didn't stay for the second end screen credit of Fantastic Four. We jumped out in order to get a bathroom break and get more snacks and then jump into Superman. But we got into Superman during the previews, which was awesome. So the timing was absolutely perfect. And from what I've read on the internet, is the second screen end credit screen thing at the end of Fantastic Four wasn't overly important, anyways. So it was great. We had a good time, and was home by 11 o'clock. So it wasn't like this massive killer thing to get to both of them. We had lots of fun seeing both films, and they actually had these ginormous Galactus popcorn buckets. And so I wanted to get one, but it was $80. And I'm like, no way I was buying this ginormous $80 popcorn bucket, because my geek corner is too full, and I would not have been able to put it anywhere. Yes, no spoilers, please. I am not going to spoil any movies. I'm not going to be talking about any details about the movies, so don't worry about that. How did you and your son like Fantastic Four? How did it compare to Superman? That's a great question. My son and I have very different tastes when it comes to movies. This was actually his third time seeing Superman, and it was my second. And he preferred Fantastic Four over Superman, and I preferred Superman. Now, I might be biased, being a diehard Superman fan, and I can admit that. I can acknowledge that maybe I'm biased, but without getting into spoilers, there was a number of things about Fantastic Four that were fun. Like, it was a fun movie. It was a beautiful movie. Like, I love the 1960s style of that, Earth, and that, part of the, Marvel multiverse. I thought it was gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. I wasn't a fan of the casting. All good actors in their own way. Personally, I felt Pedro Pascal very poorly cast to play Reed Richards. I know the internet is big time disagreeing with me on that one, but he's just in too many things. And when I see it, all I could see with Pedro Pascal, I couldn't see Reed Richards, and I don't felt he did a good enough job of actually portraying Reed Richards, or at least the version of Reed Richards that I used to read when I used to collect Fantastic Four comics way back. I used to collect Fantastic Four, probably at least 15 years ago. At least 15 years ago is when I was big into the Fantastic Four. So the casting wasn't great for me that way. And not wanting to spoil anything, but I felt the story was rushed, and the conclusion of the story was rushed. And so it just didn't fit well. And honestly, I would actually say the exact same thing about the Superman movie. I felt Superman was rushed. I wasn't a huge fan of kind of starting it off 3 years into Superman's career. I think it just missed a little bit of the tension that could come from introducing Superman. yeah, so I felt Fantastic Four in a number of ways was rushed. I felt some of the characters weren't great or weren't well fleshed out. But it was a beautiful movie. I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I think I was happy. I felt it's kind of turning some things around for the MCU, and I was like, okay, like we're making some good movies again. But the story was weak, if I could be honest. I just found the story weak. It just didn't have enough punch to get me excited about it. So, but again, my son would totally disagree with me. He would tell me I'm crazy. He would tell me I'm a hater. He would tell me I'm biased because I'm a Superman guy, and that's why I like Superman better. Even though I love the Superman movie, it is far from perfect. It has a lot of faults with it. It's got a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense in it. Some things I would love to have seen different, but I just really love David Corenswet, and I always forget her name, Rachel, who played Lois Lane. They were amazing together. They were a great Clark and Lois. Probably one of the best Clark and Lois combos, ever. Like I thought they were excellent combo together. So that helped me to really look past so much of the stuff of Superman that I was disappointed with. So Fantastic Four, good time, lots of fun, forgettable for me. I won't see it again until it's out on streaming or I pick up the Blu-ray. And but it was fun. That's my spoiler-free thoughts on Fantastic Four. Again, we had fun because we were seeing both back to back. So jumping in, seeing Fantastic Four in IMAX. And here's another thing. So here's another thing about, I don't know if this was just my theater or whatnot, but there was all this promo stuff about see Fantastic Four in IMAX. This is what IMAX was made for, and all this language. I found it wasn't loud enough. They should have just cranked it way more than they did. I like the fact I was watching it in IMAX made no difference. Like I didn't go, wow, this is like mind blowing because it's in this big giant screen. Like nothing stood out to me to make IMAX feel like it was a different experience than just going to a regular movie theater. So yeah, that's how that played out. So again, we went to the 6 o'clock Fantastic Four, then jumped into the 8 o'clock Superman. And so here's the thing: this was a Thursday night. This was 2 full weeks since Superman was released, and our theater for Superman at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, in the suburbs. Like I don't live downtown; I live in the suburbs. It was packed. Like our theater, it wasn't sold out, but it was packed. Absolutely packed. There were, just kind of seats in the front row and a couple of seats off to the side, and it was packed. So to see that again as a Superman fan on a Thursday night on week 2, when Fantastic Four was playing in 3 other screens in the same theater, that was really cool to see. I was pretty stoked about that to see that, and which made it fun. But here's a funny thing about seeing Superman last night after week 2. No one was laughing at the jokes. I was laughing because I laugh at everything. I'm like one of those guys. If I go see a stand-up comic, even the bad ones, I laugh because I laugh at everything. My sense of humor is very sensitive. It doesn't take much to get me to laugh. So I'm busting a gut like on every Crypto scene and every Guy Gardner scene. And even though the theater was packed and it looked like everyone was enjoying the movie, like the jokes were not landing. Like nobody was laughing. So that was interesting. My friend Eric, who came with us, he was laughing because he hadn't seen the movie, but no one else was laughing. So I just thought that was really, really interesting. To sit there, and that's been the biggest complaint about the Superman movie, that there's just too much jokes. And so to see so many people kind of falling flat in the jokes. So that was interesting. Well, there we go. So I got like more stuff done in here. My camera keeps falling on me. How can I fix that? Oh, I think I know what I can do. I think I'm going to make a big ball of tape here. Roll this up and stick this under the camera here. Give it a little something, something to keep it from falling. There we go. Now we're good. So the hashtag super fantastic was a lot of fun last night. I'd encourage you, go do it that way. See 2 superhero movies back to back. You can do it in a 2-hour block. Like if you got to, from the start of one to the start of the next one, if there's 2 hours, we made it. We didn't miss a single second of either film. That's not true, except for the final end credit scene from Fantastic Four. We jumped out on that one. We didn't see it. All right. So here we go. Kind of still working on this one. Again, this is page 25 of my book. About halfway through the book. Not giving away any of the story in my book. You can see the paintings, but I'm not spoiler free on everything. No spoilers on Superman, no spoilers on Fantastic Four, and no spoilers about my book. You will see more information coming out about the book in the next month. I'll definitely be posting stuff about it here on my YouTube channel. Not giving away anything in the story here. Okay, let's see. Is this the brush I want to use here now? Yeah, this one, it's a little small, but again, the whole thing I've been doing, just this Van Gogh Starry Night style. Man, and this has been fun to paint like this. Like I've just been, I usually put music on. Sometimes it's worship music. Sometimes it's 80s rock. Sometimes it's the Superman soundtrack or the Man of Steel soundtrack or the John Williams Superman soundtrack from 1978. And then I just I pray and I say, to God be the glory in my painting, that I would just enjoy the process of creating something. And that's it. And that's what I do. And I just sit here and I start painting like this. And it's been fun with this kind of Starry Night / feel to it, is just kind of putting these blobs of paint to give it a little bit of feel and texture. Again, I'm not a painter like this. I'm not like this kind of artsy guy normally, like for this kind of stuff. But hey, I guess a new skill is waking up in me. So yeah, so sabbatical. I had a few people contact me on social media during the kind of asking how the sabbatical went or some of the big takeaways of it. Again, I've been a pastor now for 20 years. I've never done a sabbatical before. I've done, some leadership training and time off and, take some leadership courses and study leave and stuff like that. But an intentional sabbatical where the purpose was rest and renewal, that I've never done in 20 years of ministry. And I just got to say, it was so life-giving. It was just such a great way to pause, to relax a little bit, and to focus on my own personal faith journey and my own personal wellness journey. And so kind of re-implemented a number of different spiritual practices in my life. And so it was just such a rich time. Originally, I thought I was going to read 1 book a month. I think I read 3 or 4 books a month instead, some fiction, some theology, some church leadership stuff, church history stuff. I just kind of read a whole bunch of radically different things, which was awesome. And then, and just kind of really enjoyed that. So it was just such a really, really great experience. And to go back, so a few people were like, ooh, you must have found it really hard to go back, after that. But I was so excited to get back to the church. I love our church. I love the work that I'm blessed to be able to do. And so, it was just wonderful to be back and to be preaching there again and leading there again and meeting with people. Like I was just loving it. So if you, go to a church and your pastor doesn't have in his contract to take a sabbatical every 7 years, go talk to your elders board and get your pastor a sabbatical. Because, this whole idea is like, oh, we'd give him a break if he needs it. No, don't wait till he needs it. Because if you wait until he needs it, you're waiting until he's burnt out. And that's waiting too late. So get your pastor a sabbatical, and because you will be blessed by it when he focuses on his spiritual health. So, okay, decided to do a weird thing here. Don't know why I decided to do this. I haven't done this on any other painting, and I don't like it. But now it's there, so I'm going to live with it. Thought maybe it would make it look like the star was popping out a little bit more, but now it just looks like this weird mess floating around him. Like he's got activate the force fields, and he's got a force field around him now. Actually, on the screen, it looks better than it does in real life. So maybe it'll look better in the book than it does here on the page. So that's cool. We'll do that. And then maybe I'll just dilute it a tad. Just a little bit of blue. One of the reasons I've never really gotten into painting like this is I don't really understand the color wheel. And I know that's going to sound weird as a guy who paints miniatures, but when I paint miniatures, I'm painting them based off of something I've already seen. So I'm painting them based off of a comic book character or a D&D character or something from like Warhammer, where like I've read the books or I've seen the White Dwarf magazine. So painting kind of an original storybook like this is brand spanking new. So it's, I'm kind of like, what colors do I do? So, but I'm happy with it so far. Happy with it so far. Okay, let me just take a sip of lemonade here. There we go. Okay. Well, that's page 25. Which way was that going to go? That way. That way. You mix it up. Oh, if I do it that way, then it looks like the star's facing a different direction. Kind of like that. Let's do this. And again, what I've been doing on these stars, kind of like my main character is a little tiny star. And I do just to kind of give it, what's the theological term again? The anthropomorphic. I always forget the term. Basically, when you say God has hands, God has a face, God has eyes. Well, God the Father does not have hands. He does not have face. He does not have eyes. So the same thing with a star. It doesn't have a face. But I just do just a little tiny something in here to give him a little face. Comes out. Like that. And then after that dries, I'll put a few other little colors around it to mute it down a little bit so it's not as obvious. But yeah, so this works out pretty good again. So I get this, and then what I sometimes do, just to kind of mute it down a tad, is I use the dry brush. Don't always do it. Sometimes I'll just kind of mute these down just a tad. Don't always do this, but where I am in the story, this makes sense to mute. Cover up the blue spots just a little bit more. That way they don't pop quite as harshly. it's been fun working on this book. Doing like the research on, kind of what's the best way to go about it. Do I self-publish it through Amazon? Do I look for like another organization to publish through? And honestly, because I'm not trying to make any money on this. This is really just for my own spiritual wellness. This is just part of my own wellness journey to do this. So that's where I kind of landed to just do it through Amazon's KDP. What is that? Kindle Publishing something or other. Can't remember. It's how my wife published her book 4 years ago, and which was a great experience and super easy to use. And we're happy with the financial return from it. We're not expected to print out like a whole bunch of different books and things like that. So we really, really liked that process on her book. So I figured I'd do the same for mine. Shouldn't put that in the wash already. Yeah, no. Well, this is looking pretty good now. I'm going to almost call this one done. Again, just need to do a little bit of colors on the eyes and the mouth just to, they're not quite as, they don't pop out with the brown too much. A little bit of extra detail and extra color on them. White in there like that. And then just a little bit of orange. There. Well, that's page 25 of the book finish. And kind of lost a little bit of the detail of the mouth. Now you can't tell it's a mouth. I put a little bit too much orange. Let me just touch this. There, just like that. Just like that. Page 25. All done. And you can see the face a little bit easier in real life than you can on here. And I'm not going to let that dry. So I'm going to put this over here to dry. Got a little shelf underneath my laptop here for that. And then I'm going to go back and work finishing up another page here, which is almost done. I usually try to have 2 or 3 pages going at the same time because I'm waiting for paint to dry and then moving to the, so that way I can go back and forth between different different pictures. All the paint is drying. And so this one here is page 33. I think the book in total, so the way I've got it set up is like 2 pages. So you always have like text on one page, like a white page with text, and then a colored picture beside it. So again, you flip white page with text, colored picture beside it, white page. And so just kind of make, the text kind of nice and center and nice font, which is, simple to read. And then with the bright, colorful, multiple feel paintings beside the white page, hopefully will just kind of help them pop a little bit. And so I've been loading them up into an online tool just to kind of see how it looks. And I've been super, super happy with it so far. It's been really, really great. So I just clean all these brushes. Yeah, it's been fun to watch all the back and forth about Superman and Fantastic Four online. Love it and hate it people on either camp or either movie. It's pretty incredible, the love and hate for Superman. We know the Snyderverse and Henry Cavill had a lot of love. And I loved Henry Cavill. I thought he was a great Superman, but I was not a fan of the Snyderverse stuff. I didn't like the direction of it, even though I absolutely loved Henry Cavill, even though I absolutely loved Ben Affleck, I absolutely loved Gal Gadot. They were the only 3 things about it that I loved. I didn't care for The Flash. I didn't really care for Aquaman. I didn't care for Cyborg. I just really didn't care for anything that they were doing. So that's why when they scrapped it, I felt horrible because I wanted Henry Cavill to really do an amazing Superman movie. But it was pretty easy to say bye to everything else. So that's what I get where so many people are disappointed that we're just never getting that Snyderverse to see what could have been. So interesting when I look at this one on the camera, out of these yellow lines in here that are kind of coming from my bird here in the middle, come up more like lines on top, whereas when I look at it like this, it looks like they're more underneath the swirl. So it's kind of funny how that looks. So I wonder how that will kind of all come together when I actually print it. See, when I do the little stars, you know, my main characters here in the story are all these little stars. I put the paint on really thick, so that way there's like texture to them, and just hoping that the photography that I do to print these into the book will capture that kind of the 3D element of the paint, kind of give, you know, just that little extra layer and texture to help the book pop a little bit. Okay, that's that. I gotta look for that to dry too. I'm wondering, while that dries, I don't know if I want to monkey around with this one anymore. Kind of happy with it. This one's a little busier than I was hoping for, but yeah, it's just a little busier than I was hoping for. If at the end, this is actually one of the ones, so what I'm doing is I'm kind of going through them, and then when I put the whole book together, if anything kind of goes, I just don't feel like it fits with the rest of them, I'll redo it. So this is the only one so far out of like the 13 or 12 that I've done that might go in that category that it's got to get redone. But that's a decision to make at the very end of the project. So let me put him over here on top of my laptop, just like that. Make sure it doesn't turn off StreamYard when I do that. Okay. And we got to start with a new canvas. So again, all the canvases, just bought them from the dollar store. Yeah, see, $1.75 Canadian at the dollar store, 10 by 10 canvas. They're not the greatest in the world, not the worst either. And again, because I've got like 40 of them to make, so I didn't want to spend $10 per canvas on a book that I'm not actually planning on really making any money off of. I'm kind of, like I said, doing it. If people buy it, I sell 5 copies. Hey, praise the Lord. And so that's really kind of the extent of my goal is 5 copies. If I sell 5 copies, woohoo, it's a win for me. So next page, I need to look at my books. So I've got all my notes written here on my phone, but what I'm painting, so that painting there was page, what page did we just finish here? This was page, this one was page, what did I say, 35, no, not 35. It was page, oh my goodness, sorry about this. I'm lost here. So I got 26, 27, 28, page 29. Okay, yeah, so this is the next one I'm going to paint. So this next one has my star character being hit by the bad guy of the story. And so in this bad guy, so I think what I'm going to do, so this background will be a mixture of blues in the background. Oh, why is this paintbrush so hard? Oof, I don't think I cleaned that one well. Don't use that one. Okay, so I got a mixture of different blues here. So we're just gonna let it go how it goes. And then I'm gonna need a little bit more. I need a lot more. For the undercoats on each painting, I always make them really thick. And then that way I can, when I start doing the swirls and everything around, then it blends into the paint nicer, which I really, really like. So that's kind of the thinking there. So just get this nice and thick, and then the different colored swirls I do before this gets a chance to dry. I always forget to put on painting clothes, because when I paint miniatures, I don't really make that big of a mess when I paint miniatures. But in this, I've been doing like Starry Night stuff, so I'm flicking paintbrushes, and then I'm kind of putting it on really thick and splashing it about and just having lots of fun with it like that. So I've been making a mess all over the place on my t-shirts and on my shorts and on my pants, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I keep forgetting to put on, crappy clothes before I start painting. This over here to dry. Sorry. Yeah, so Chris, I'm going to Gen Con this year for the first time ever. I'm excited to meet Margaret West. Oh my goodness, that is awesome. That is something, man. I would love to go to one of those things one day. I mean, I love Canada and all, but man, we don't get the good conferences. We get Fan Expo Toronto, which is pretty good, but I don't know. We just don't get enough of these things here in Canada. Man, if I could ask Margaret Weiss anything, honestly, I'd probably be even just too shy to ask her anything. Like, her books have been so big for me growing up. Like, I was, and people find this funny because I speak for a living now as an adult, and I have a very, very public job, but I was deathly, deathly shy as a teenager. I had great friends growing up, but I didn't have a lot of them. And so Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman's books, in so many ways, were like friends that I could go back to and meet with and catch up with. And so honestly, I don't even think I would just ask her any questions. I would just want to say thank you for giving me such great friends. Like in times of loneliness, at times during my parents' divorce, times when I didn't feel like I fit in, I could go to a Dragonlance book and I could fit in, or I could go to one of their other novels and fit in. And so that's what I would say to them, or that's what I would say to Margaret Weiss or Tracy Hickman. I would just want to say thank you for the friends. Probably me as well, too shy to ask her anything. Yeah, I hear you. I had the chance when becoming a member of the 501st, and David Prowse, who played Darth Vader, was here in Ottawa before he passed away, sadly, and had the opportunity to meet with him and talk to him. And I just came across as an idiot. Like I just came across like, and so I was trying to get his autograph, and they didn't take tap, and he only wanted cash, and my kids were little. And so he was like, well, leave your kids here with me and go get some money and come back and get your autograph. And so Darth Vader babysat my kids, which was pretty cool. But I'm not sure if he babysat my kids or if he held them ransom to get money for the autograph that I have from him, which is over here on my top shelf in my geek corner. So, do your kids ever read Dragonlance Chronicles? I'm reading them with my son for the first time. That is amazing. So, my kids are only readers now. Like they did not read as little kids. Like we read books with them when they were really little, but they never got into. Cameron went through a little bit of a phase of young adult books or young reader books, but it didn't last long. And yeah, it didn't last long. And so they've never read it. I've tried to get Cameron to read Dragonlance, and he's just never gotten around to it. My daughter, she's a little bit more of the reader, but she's never read it. They've never read it. Yeah, Darth Vader held my kids ransom. I got to tell that story a little bit more often. Yeah, and it's cool. Like again, that's one of the perks of when we, when Star Wars cast would come here to Ottawa where I live, and then you can finally meet some of these Star Wars actors. They'd always come by the booth and hang out with us, stuff like that. So that was really a real privilege for that. Okay, so now for this, I'm kind of drawing, painting. What do I want to do here? Get a little bit of purple in here. Get a little bit of browns in here. So this is kind of like a combination of like darker colors and lighter colors at the same time. Again, can't spoil what's happening here, but get this. Yeah, I just love how it blends in. Back to the purple and again, the beauty of this style is, man, you could just have fun with it. I'm not worried about it looking good. I'm not worried about it making sense. It's a very abstract kind of art style, but when you actually read the book, it makes sense, and I think it fits really well. The abstract style fits in here nicely. So. Do something a little bit like that. Oh, do it like that. And then I want to jump over into brighter colors. Oh, I'm going to have to wash that brush now. What do we got here? The same one, so they're the same size. Yeah, it's always funny. Like I always found that funny when you're really into something and you want your kids to be into what you're into. So when, I've been a lifelong Superman fan. And so my, son, when he was growing up, was really into superheroes. But man, he would just, anytime I tried to get him to watch anything Superman, no, I hate Superman. It's only Spider-Man. It's only Batman. Wanted nothing to do with anything Superman, and how much of that was, I can't like anything my dad likes. Right, that rebellious kid phase that no matter what age they are, they just hit it at some point. So we just get a few now, some bright squiggles in here. Add some orange to them. Again, just been fun. Just kind of like you think of like Bob Ross, right? When Bob Ross painted, just paint a little tree and just enjoy the process and all of that. Met Mark Hamill once at Comic-Con in New York. Got a kick out of my son's name, Anakin. I did not know your kid's name was Anakin. That's sweet. You actually, have a wife. His mom let you pick that. Dang, that's impressive. But yeah, Anakin, I told him, Luke, this is your father. He laughed, thought it was incredibly nice. That's really cool. Yeah, I thought my wife was pretty amazing, letting me put a Han Solo and Princess Leia action figure on our wedding cake. But your wife let you name your kid Anakin. Ooh, boy, that's impressive. I always dreamed of having twin boys. We have a lot of twins in our family. And so my dream was that I'd have twin boys and I could name one of them Kent and the other one Clark. And that way, when they were in trouble, I could go, Clark, Kent, get over here. But we didn't have twins. All right, so there we go. This is kind of the next page here. What I normally do, like I've been saying, I do an undercoat, and then I kind of sit back a little bit, let this dry, work on another one, kind of jump back and forth, things like that. So, but again, the process of this has just been fun. It's been so freeing to just sit down, put the music on, paint, chill out, and again, like if it's not perfect, well, I'm not trying to like write the Great American book here, right? I'm not trying to write like the best-selling book of all time. I'm just writing something because we live in a day and an age where it's actually really easy to create and it's really easy to publish your own stuff, right? It's not like back in the day when you had to deal with a publisher and buy 100,000 copies and all that. You can make a book, put it into a PDF, and then bang, put it on Amazon, and your book is published because they do print on demand, which is so sweet. And so, there's no reason for nobody to be creative anymore, or to not be creative anymore, right? If you got a book in you, kids' book in you, you got art in you, doesn't have to be perfect, but man, you can just get it out and just enjoy the process. And I love that. So that gets me super stoked and really excited. That's where I was actually just watching a video earlier today talking about the shift in the comic book industry moving away from mainstream comics. And really the money nowadays is in independent comics and the independent publishing that's happening in comics, and where people are following a creator now instead of a property or a company, which I love that. I absolutely love that. But again, the drag of Canada is, man alive, when most of these, artists and creatives are in the US, to ship stuff to Canada. It's like, it's so expensive. And then you get hit with customs and duties. And man, if they're going to knock up tariffs, then it's just going to get even worse. And so it's just so discouraging, because I would support more and more and more independent artists and independent comic book creators. But sometimes the shipping is just as much as the book, right? $20 book, and then you got $19 of shipping, and then I might get hit with another $10 of tax and duty and tariff. So I just can't do it, unfortunately, which is a real drag. Yeah. Think about watching Bob Ross paint. It looked perfect. Yeah. Then he put a giant line right in the foreground, ruining it. Then he turned it into a beautiful tree that made it better. I know, I used to watch him all the time growing up too, and it's like, every painting he does is just absolutely fantastic, just gorgeous. But one of the things I've learned with painting miniatures is it's practice, right? Sometimes we think, I could never be that talented, I could never do something as good as him. And then you realize, well, he's done the same painting a million times, right? Or whatever, how many number it is. And it's like, well, if I were to do that same painting a million times, I'd develop the technique, I'd develop the eye for it. And yeah, I could do it too. And so, we never have to sell ourselves short and say we can't do it. We just practice, we can get there. Now, yes, there's talent for sure, and there's natural ability, but we can also learn, and we can also grow. So Bob Ross was great. His show was so chill and so relaxing. All right, so this is the next page. Time's it now. So I only want to do this for about an hour. Yeah, so we're almost coming up on that hour here. So let me just check the next one. Can I start the next one? That's ended. I've probably already planned for that too. I might actually combine those two pages to do one less painting, because they it's hard. Between this one and then the one that I've already done, I don't think there's a painting that will fit in between. I'm going to have to go back to that and maybe re-edit that and knock one painting out of here, but we'll see, because it's going to go kind of from this painting here to this painting to this painting. So these kind of three that I've been working on today, they're all in order, but there is another painting that comes in between them. and I'm not 1,000% sure that will fit. So yeah, so that's where things are at. And so, yeah, so we're coming up on an hour now. So I'm going to sign off. I got a few other things I want to get done today. But thanks so much for joining. Thanks, Chris, for being a part of the chat. Thanks for others who stopped in and poked in. Really appreciate it. My channel is going through another growth phase again right now. 20 new subscribers in the past week, 7,000 views in the last week. So I'm very, very grateful for that. So please, hit like, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And yeah, just really appreciate everyone being a part of the community here. It really means a lot to me. I think my plan, I do want to get into my new schedule, live streaming. I'm debating whether it's going to be a regular Friday afternoon or a Saturday morning thing. I'm kind of playing around with the different options. We'll see where it lands. But in the next few weeks, I'll have that figured out as I'm rebuilding my work schedule now that I'm back to work. So until the next video, God bless you, everybody. And we will talk to you again real soon. Take care, everybody. We hit the end button, end stream button now, and then we confirm.